I'm Rakaya Fletcher. Welcome to Tech Tuesday at 2 in the MLO Creative Studios. The Creative Studios is here for students to learn about and utilize new software and technology that can allow them to both express their creativity and help in their success here at OSU in the future. Tech Tuesday at 2 will meet here in the MLO Creative Studios on the first Tuesday of every school month for interactive showcases and emerging innovative technologies. Last semester, we learned about the green screen and chroma keying, 3D modeling, and digital storytelling with story maps. If you missed one of our programs or simply want to just watch again, all of these programs are rebroadcasted on OState TV and can also be found by searching the library's website for Tech Tuesday. Today, Williams, communication specialist here in the MLO library, is going to show us how to create GIFs using Adobe Photoshop. If you are here in our audience, you can ask questions at any time during the presentation, and I will be glad to come by and help. If you are watching on today's live stream, you can submit questions via Twitter, Facebook, using the hashtag LibTech2s. At the end of the program, we will be drawing for prizes for OSU students who are in the Creative Studios with us today, so please be sure to fill out an entry form. William, take it away.
All right, thank you, Rakaya. Hi there, welcome to Tech Tuesday at 2. Get GIFfy with it, everyone. My name is William Davis. I'm a communication specialist here at the MLO Library. A little bit of backstory, I used to be the social media intern here at the library, and one of my favorite things to do was to make GIFs for Facebook and Twitter. And I don't know about you folks, but boy howdy, I sure like making me some GIFs. So these are a handful of the ones I've made over the past couple years. Some of these are the ones that I made as the social media intern, like the one with the library coffee mug, the printer down there. Some of these are just ones I've made on my own. A little bit of backstory. I've really only had one formal class on animation or anything related to GIFs. Everything other than that, I've just been self-taught through experimenting, clicking around, seeing what works, or watching tutorials on YouTube. I really love GIFs. They're a very interesting storytelling platform. The fact that you can make a compelling story that says so much about something, either a concept or a person, out of just 2 seconds of footage, and it loops, and so you can live that moment over and over again for all of eternity, basically. To me, that's just very interesting. So for example, one of my favorite ones is this really simple one that I made of one of our library printers. The story basically is the library has unlimited printing for students, and that one little GIF of just an endless printer sells that pretty well without having to say anything. So a little bit about GIFs. GIF stands for Graphics Interface Format. And a little bit more, where do GIFs come from, I wonder? Well, you see, when a mommy GIF and a daddy GIF love each other very much, they go surfing on the World Wide Web. And back in the day, before Facebook and Twitter, you really had to search for your GIFs. They were hiding on forums, and you had to go searching for that forum. Only 3 people would be on there, and sometimes they would post a GIF, and it would take 3 days to download it. But now, we have companies like Dither, and you've probably never heard of Dither as a company, but you've used their software if you've been on Facebook or Twitter and posted a GIF, I guarantee you. Dither developed the GIF keyboard for iOS and Android platforms. Also, when you go on Facebook or Twitter or most apps that have a GIF search bar, Dither developed that, and they've licensed out the code for that app developer to put that in their app. Another big one is GIFfy. Basically the same deal. They license out their code to other apps so they can use that GIF search bar. And a little bit of a funny thing, if you go on Facebook or Twitter and you search for a GIF, like if you type in the word agree, which is a very popular one, and then you go on Dither's website and search for agree, and then also on GIFfy's website and search for the same thing, you'll notice Facebook's results are drawing from both websites. It's about half and half. And what's really interesting about these websites is that they've actually partnered with television networks, movie studios, sports leagues like the NFL to push their content through GIFs. So after Sunday night's big game, Monday morning there were a lot of GIFs from the game, of the plays that were made, of the halftime show, and that was actually uploaded by an official NFL account on GIFfy. So that's part of their brand strategy now, is to push content to other platforms through GIFs to get people engaging with their shows, with their movies, with the football games and stuff like that. And what I really like about GIFfy as a company is that they offer some tools that are very simple to use for you to make your own GIF. So like GIFfy has the GIFfy camera for your phone. And that makes it really easy to just take quick video, put some stickers on there, you got a GIF. They also have the GIFfy capture, which records a part of your screen. All you do is bring it up, and like if you have a video going or something like that, it'll make a GIF of that for you. And that is actually something that we're going to show off really quick. In GIFfy, I'm just going to show you this to you. One of the most simple ways for you to make a GIF after GIFfy loads is to just go on GIFfy and upload a video. You can actually go on GIFfy and straight from their platform upload video or photos. It's taken a while. We'll skip that for now. But it's a little bit limited in what it allows you to do because you're only going to be able to use whatever video or photos you use and whatever stickers and filters GIFfy gives you. There are a few other things that you might want to do with a GIF, something really fancy, something really fun, and that's where things from like the Adobe Creative Cloud come into play. So let's say you wanted to make your own boomerang effect like they have on Instagram where video plays forward and then backward. You need a video editing program that allows you to reverse video. Or let's say you had like a really scenic nature view and you had a video of that and you wanted to make a endless GIF that looped and that you never saw a hard stop or a hard beginning and it just constantly was one smooth motion forever. You would need to go into a video editing program and to be able to crossfade between two clips of that nature scene. And that's where a program like Adobe Premiere would come into play. Adobe Premiere is one of the industry standards in video editing, and so it's really good for doing fancy video-based GIFs like that. After Effects is another really great platform. It's actually one of my favorite programs to work in because you can do some really crazy stuff in After Effects, like put dogs in space. This is one of my favorite GIFs that I've ever made. This is made almost entirely in After Effects by masking out frame by frame the front half of the dog. After Effects has a tool called the Puppet Tool, and that's how I animated the back legs of the dog. There's other crazy things going on there like a 3D camera and 3D space, lighting. There's a little bit of coding that you can do in After Effects to have automated animation going on. After Effects is also really popular for what's called vector-based graphics. So these are lines and paths, and what vector-based graphics do for you is that you can reshape them, resize them, skew them, do anything you want to them, and they won't lose image quality. And so these are made by a very talented designer, a good friend of mine named Amelia Clark. And if she were making these and decided, oh, I want that vine to go sideways, or I want it to curve, or I want to resize it, she could do all of that in After Effects by just messing with that vine and never lose image quality in the process. Another vector-based platform that you can make your GIFs in is Adobe Flash. So these were drawn by hand and they're vector-based still. I did these with a Wacom Intuos tablet, kind of like the one someone here is going to win today. Another thing you can use is the Microsoft Surface tablets that we check out at our Tech2Go desk. They come with a stylus if you request it, and you can do your hand-drawn graphics on that. And like I said, these were done in Adobe Animate. They used to be known as Adobe Flash. Flash has kind of become a little bit of an obsolete platform, and so they moved away. They were rebranding it as Adobe Animate. But maybe you want to do something a little bit more fancy. Maybe you want to do a 3D-based animation GIF. This is done in a program called Cinema 4D. This is animated by E.J. Hassenfratz of iDesign.com. He does really good tutorials for Cinema 4D. Cinema 4D actually comes packed in with After Effects, a light version of it that's very stripped down. It can't do all the fancy things that the full version of Cinema 4D does, but luckily for you, here at the Adobe the Ebb and Low Creative Studios, we actually have the full version of Blender, which is another 3D animating program that you can do a lot of really great stuff in. It's fully featured, and you can just do some really crazy stuff in Blender. But we're going to bring it home. Like Rakaya said, we're going to work mostly in Photoshop today. And Photoshop is one of my favorite programs to work in. One of the great things about Photoshop is you can do like a frame-by-frame GIF. So if you took a series of still images and you wanted to animate that, you'd do that in Photoshop. This one was done by our current graphic design intern, Eliza Hepner. She just took a series of images of all of those office supplies coalescing into the word EDLO, and she made a really good GIF out of it. Also, along those lines, so I did this one just out of a series of drawings that I took a picture of, and Photoshop also allows you can do stuff like masking out a background. So originally in that background, people were moving around, but because of Photoshop, I was able to make them stand still. Now, we don't have time to go into how to do all of those little things that I just mentioned into all those little programs. I wish we could, but we'd be here for months because there's a million different rabbit holes we can go down. So before we transition over to Photoshop and to GIFfy, I'd just like to shout out to lynda.com. Here at Edmond Lowe Creative Studios, we actually have a way for you to access all of the courses on lynda.com, and there are lessons, courses, tutorials for every program that I just mentioned on Lynda. All you have to do is go to the Creative Studios website. On the very bottom right-hand corner, there is a link to access request to lynda.com. You can access that and get all kinds of information that you'd want to know about those other programs. So let's see if GIFfy has loaded. It has not. That's very unfortunate. So we'll just go straight to Photoshop then. So everyone should have Photoshop open, right? So first step is to go to Window at the very top. Can everyone see that? And then Workspace. And we're going to choose Motion. And you should get this little bar here at the bottom. Why is that? There we go. And that's concerning. Add media. Why is this not working? This looks different. Sorry folks, I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty. Window, Workspace, Motion. That's okay. So everyone has a folder open on their desktop. It should have a, is everyone finding that? You found it? Does everyone find that folder? It has a little file in there that says fish GIF. We're going to click and drag that over to Photoshop, like so. Does everyone have that step done? Awesome. So now we have our timeline here. What this blue bar represents is the full length of our video footage. And so if we had multiple video clips that we wanted to string together, maybe make a little mini movie, what we would do is we could click and drag the sides of that and bring it in. We could bring it in like that, shorten it. So we could bring in multiple clips, add another layer, have that come in at the end of it so it transition to another image. We also have on the sides of our timeline these little brackets here. This blue thing is our playhead, and when we scroll through that, you'll see that we're scrolling through our video. And these brackets bring in where the video will start and stop. So really quick, if you press play on your video, you'll notice that we have this little wooden fish spinning around in the air. And what we're going to want to do is make a perfect looping GIF of this fish spinning around. And so what I'd rather do, instead of dragging in our clip, our timeline, to shorten the clip, I'd rather use these brackets because that's going to make it a lot easier for us to scroll through and scrub and find the spot where we want our fish to start and stop. So I'm going to grab my blue playhead here, and I'm going to find a spot where that fish is facing directly at me. Does everyone have that? And then we're going to click on this little left bracket here, or start bracket, and drag it over to where our timeline start, our blue playhead is at. Is everyone good so far? And then we can scroll through a little bit more. We're going to let it turn all the way around once and find another frame where that fish is facing us again. And then from there we grab our right-hand bracket, the stop one, and bring that in. Is everyone there? So now if we press play, you'll notice it starts and stops. We don't want it to stop. We want it to keep going. We want it to loop, right? And so we have this little gear over here. It's kind of hiding. You click that, and you got to make sure that it says loop playback. Check that box. Is everyone all right? And now what we can do is we can press play. And we have a halfway decent clip of the fish spinning around. I'm going to go ahead and adjust that. I'm going to find another spot where that fish starts and stops. Maybe right there. And like so. We'll press play again. And that's halfway okay. That's a pretty good GIF of a fish spinning around in the middle of the air. Is everyone there? Does everyone have a spinning fish yet? Good to go? Okay, so from here, what you'll want to do, let's say that's all we wanted to do, is we'll go to File, and then Export, and then over here on the right, it'll say Save for Web Legacy. I'm going to click that, and we get this little window pops up, and it's going to take a second to load. And as you can see, it's so big that it kind of overblows our window view. And this window is really important because this is where you're going to control all little things that'll make your GIF. You can actually break your GIF in this window. And so it's very important to know what a lot of these little controls will do for you. First things first, one thing I want to point out is the file size. Right now mine is saying that if I export this GIF, it's going to be 17 megabyte file size. And that would be okay if all we were doing was uploading this to GIFfy or to Dither, because they can have some pretty big file sizes, and their program actually allows for rescaling of media. But if we wanted to upload this directly to, say, Twitter or to Tumblr, we actually need a smaller file size. So like Twitter, if you're uploading from a desktop, the file size limit is 15 megabytes. Tumblr's way smaller. Tumblr's like 2 megabytes if you want to upload a GIF directly to Tumblr. Also, some social media scheduling apps like Sprout Social and Hootsuite might have other file size restrictions. And so we want to make sure that we know how to get that file size down without sacrificing too much quality. And I'm going to close out of this. Oop. And over here is where we're going to find a lot of that. So over here we have our first thing where it says selective at the top. This is going to control our color palette. As I mentioned, GIF is kind of an old format that goes way back to the early days of the internet. And back then, the internet had a limited color palette, and you had to make sure that your GIF could fit into that color palette. So these would actually help you fit into that. So like restrictive, if I were to click on that, it would reduce the file size because it's going to restrict the amount of colors that's in my GIF. We're going to go ahead and keep it on selective for now. Selective is pretty much your best option. Colors is pretty self-explanatory. As I was mentioning, your GIF has a color palette, and it has a very limited color palette. If you really want to hammer down the file size, one thing you'd want to do is maybe bring down the colors. So if I brought this all the way down to say like 8, we're only going to have 8 colors in our GIF. It's going to take a while to load. As you'd imagine, it comes out almost black and white. Very little color in our GIF. We can put that back on 160. And going along with that limited color palette and the whole idea of trying to bring down our file size, there's this option for Dither. If you go on to no Dither, and then if you were to like zoom in really, really close on your GIF, you would notice that a lot of these colors don't really fade into one another. It's not smooth. There's actually like these blocky chunks of color in our image. And what Dither does is, if you turn it on to diffusion especially, is it adds pixels to try to smooth that out and make it look more natural and make it look like a higher quality image. The only problem with that though is that that's going to add to your file size. So if you wanted to keep a smaller file size, you would choose no Dither. We also have a couple other options, pattern and noise, and those do basically the same thing. They just add more pixels to your image to smooth out the color palette, just in slightly different versions. So we can go to no dither, transparency and matte. We're not going to mess with that for now, but we'll come back to it. And then we have web snap and lossy. And web snap helps to, as I was mentioning earlier, help your GIF conform to what used to be very restrictive internet capabilities. So if I were to turn that all the way up and let it load, you'd see that GIF gets a little ugly looking because it's snapping our colors to a very old, out of date color palette. We can turn that all the way back down. We also have lossy, and lossy is almost literally just like how bad can this GIF look while you tolerate it. So if you turn it all the way up, it's just going to make your GIF look all kinds of janky. Like, look at that. So we can turn that all the way back down. So what I usually like to do to actually bring down our GIF size is really just to resize the image size. So right now we have it at 1920 by 1080, and that's basically the file size of a full video that you would like upload to YouTube. A GIF doesn't need to be that big. You can make your GIF a lot smaller than that. I would say cut that in half. Give it 50 over here on %. And I believe that has, oh, there it goes, it loaded. And so if you'll notice, that knocked my image size down all the way down to 2 megabytes. And so that's really good. That's something that I'd be comfortable uploading not only to GIFfy, but to Tumblr and to Twitter. Now, here's where I mentioned that you can kind of break your GIF. Make sure before you save it, over here it says looping options. It's set on once by default. No one wants a GIF to loop only once. You want it to loop forever. So if we press play here, we can preview that, and we see that we have a nice, smoothly looping GIF of our fish spinning around. Is everyone there? Does everyone have that? Good to go? So we could save that to, I want to save that to our desktop, fish GIF 1. Oop. All right, now we're actually going to make another GIF, now that we have that done, of a frame by frame GIF. So go ahead and press Control N for new. And over here we're going to switch it from inches to pixels. And we're going to set this to 1080 by 1080. We're going to get a square. Everyone see that? And we're going to create that. We're going to go ahead and layer from background. Okay. And then over here on the left, what we're going to do is we're going to animate a circle going across the screen. It's going to be really simple. It's going to just scroll from left to right. And so what you do is over here on the left, you have your rectangle tool. You click and hold, and you go over here and click Ellipse Tool. And I'm going to hold down Shift while I click and drag. That's going to make a circle for me, just like that. And here's what the thing I was looking for earlier was. Down here at the bottom, it says Create Video Timeline. Instead of Video Timeline, what we're going to do is we're going to press this drop-down arrow. We're going to create a frame animation and go ahead and click on that, like so. And we can go ahead and right-click on Layer 0 and delete that. Yes. Okay, so like I said, we're going to animate this circle going left to right. And so what I can do first is right-click on our circle layer and click on Duplicate Layer. Okay. And I'm going to go over here to the very top, and there's this crossbar icon. That's our Move tool. Grab that. And we're going to click on the circle and move it to the left just a little bit, like that. And so that took a little bit because we had to right-click on our layer, click Duplicate Layer. A quicker way to do that is to press Control J on your keyboard. That also automatically duplicates your layer. And then you can click and drag your circle out a little bit more. So now we have 3 circles. An even faster way to do that is to hold down the Alt key on your keyboard and then just click and drag the circle. And so that automatically creates a copy of the circle to where you moved it. Has everyone got that? Everyone doing okay? Do I need to slow down for anything? Okay. And so I'm just going to go ahead and make a few circles going across the screen like that. And as you can see, we have a long, just like line of circles. And it doesn't do anything yet. To make it do something and animate it going across the screen now, there's this little icon right at the very bottom right of your screen. Looks like maybe a sandwich of some sort. You're going to click on that, and up here there's a button that says Make Frames from Layers. We're going to click that. And that automatically, as you will see, made a timeline of frames. Is everyone good? Has everyone got that? Okay, so if we can press play, it goes across the screen once because by default, again, it sets things to once. To make it go forever, at the very bottom under your timeline of frames, you're going to go from once to forever because GIFs are forever. And if you press play now, you'll see it starts to the left, goes to the right, and just keeps jumping left to right. And that's the whole GIF right now. But what if we wanted to animate it going all the way back? Like that. What you'd want to do is at the very bottom, again, below our frames, there's a little post-it note icon. You're going to click your post-it note. That's going to make a duplicate of the last frame. And the way these frames work is that we have all these layers over here. And you'll notice as you go and click through all these frames, each frame has a different layer visible. And so that's literally all you have to do to animate in these frames is make different layers visible. So you can import all kinds of different elements, all kinds of different images, text, graphics, and all you have to do to make them visible frame by frame is to make different layers of those visible. And so if we want to animate this going back, we go to our duplicate of the final layer, hide that top layer, and go back down and make layer 5 for me visible. I don't know how many layers you made. And I'm going to repeat that process. So now I made another frame. I'm going to hide layer 5, make visible layer 4. And then repeat that process until I get all the way down to before the very last one. I don't want to make this one another frame because we have it over here. And you'll notice now it makes one smooth motion going back and forth. If I had to make that last one another frame, it would freeze for a second. So is everyone good so far on making how to make frames, how to make things visible and invisible? Need help? Okay. So one thing to keep in mind while working in frame by frame GIFs. Over here above our layers, there's this little thing that says Propagate Frame 1, and it's checked by default. And what happens when that's checked is if I go to the very first frame at the very beginning of my timeline, and if I make the very last layer visible, now that last layer is visible in all of my frames. And so if you add something to frame 1 with that box checked, it's going to add it to every single frame. And you would need to either hide it in your first frame or selectively go back in and hide it in whichever frames you don't want it in. So like I just took it out of layer 1, and that made it invisible on the layer that it was supposed to be visible. So I have to go back in and make that visible. You can uncheck that box if you would like. There's also an option back in our little sandwich button over here that says create new layers for each frame. So if I were to click on that and I made a new frame, suddenly I have a bunch of new layers showing up on my layer tab. And I don't like having that checked personally, just because I don't like having a bunch of layers automatically created for me. So I undo all that, and I usually don't have that checked. But if you were to try to go in free form, that's something you could do. Do we have a question?
Can you just briefly, one more time, go over how to get from, so I made the 4 circles?
Yep.
Just
Okay.
Just that one step of all those frames into a timeline.
Okay. I will show that really quick, just because I'm not sure where you're at over there. I'm going to make a new one. And at the very bottom, we have this button that says Create Frame Animation.
Okay.
We want to make sure that's clicked first. And then we can make however many layers we want to in our frame. Sorry. Yes. And we go to that little sandwich icon here in the bottom right. And we go up, and there in the middle it says Make Frames from Layers.
Got it.
Did that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you so much.
All right, no problem. So we can save that. Oop. What's that?
Make frames with layers. It did not come.
Are you able to help him? So we're going to go ahead and export that, save for web. And this is where transparency comes in. Does he need help? Are you able to get it for him?
Can you go back to the make frame?
Yeah, for sure. So if I make a new one really quick, I'm just going to save a step. So if I want to make a bunch of circles, does he have all of the circles in one layer or multiple layers? Okay, so does he have Create Frame Animation clicked? And it looks like this? Okay. Well, right here where it's these 4 lines on our right, you click that button and then Make Frames from Layers. Did that help? Okay, awesome. So if we go to Export now and then Save for Web, we notice that you have all these black and white checker boxes on our background, and that's a transparency layer, and that's what this box here, where it says transparency, is checked. That makes sure that if we keep that checked, it will export it that way, and we would be able to overlay it on like a website or a PowerPoint or anything like that. We could bring it in, and it would automatically be on top of something like a sticker, sort of like the Instagram stickers that you can now use. So we would want to keep that checked, and you would go to Matte over here and drop that down and make sure that just says none. And so now when we export that and click on Save, I will call that Circle. We would be able to bring that up. And see, that is the wrong program to bring that open. Open with Internet Explorer. Go away. That there's nothing behind there. It looks white because there's nothing back there, but if you were to use an image behind that, you'd be able to see the full image behind that circle. So let's check in on GIFfy, because I'd like to show it to you. I guess I closed it. Here we go. So now we can show you what GIFfy looks like. This is for if you have just some really basic video or just a set of images that you want to create a really simple GIF with and have the whole process automated for you. And so you wouldn't have to go through what we just did on Photoshop, but you wouldn't be able to do any of the fancier things like I talked about earlier. So we go to Create up here. And it is going to take a while. So we'll talk about a few other things while we wait for that to load. One thing that you can do to help your GIF get found on GIFfy and Tinner is to add metadata to your file. And what that is if you go to right-click on one of your GIFs and go to Properties, and then Details, you have all of this information about your GIF. Right? And that information helps GIFfy search for what your GIF is. The name is included in that, and so if you give it a very descriptive name, like circle, It's going to help it come up in those search results for like if someone for some reason search circle on GIFfy or on like the Facebook GIF search bar. There we go. Now it's working. Okay, so if we go into GIF Maker on GIFfy, I'm going to show you this really quick. And I chose this video of a duck that I had. I didn't put this on your computer, only I have the duck. It's going to load, and I can put it at whatever start time I want. And I can bring it down to however many seconds I want. And it's automatically going to make that GIF of a shaking duck for me. And you can add text. So I'm looking at this duck, and I think it's pretty #lit. Am I right, fellow kids? I can add stickers to this GIF if I want to, if they show up. And then filters as well. And so we can make it a spooky duck. We can make it a glitchy duck. We can make whatever we want. We can upload that. We can send it to our roommate now. You can also go in. Yes, start over. And choose photos. And so sort of like I was talking about earlier, making frame-by-frame GIFs in Photoshop, you can do that here in GIFfy as well. And it gives you all the same text and sticker options that the video one did. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to bring that duck back really quick because I forgot to show you something. Give me that duck. This is what I was talking about earlier with those tags and the metadata. So you want to actually use tags. So tags will help it come up in the search results. So we can have duck, we can have animal, cute animal. Oop, that's not the backspace key. Baby animal. And those tags would help that come up in search results. It doesn't guarantee it, but it does help you have a better chance of being found when people search those terms. So I hope you found that helpful. I hope you understand a little bit more about how GIFs are made. I hope you go home now and make GIFs of your own and tweet them at us at OK State Library with the hashtag LibTech2s. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Like I said, if there's anything more you'd like to know about a lot of these programs, you can go to the Creative Studios website and find lynda.com and find all kinds of courses about Premiere, After Effects, Photoshop, and learn how to make more from that for your GIFs and for any other project. And you can also check out like our Surface Pro tablets with the stylus pen to make hand-drawn GIFs and make all kinds of whatever you want. So make some GIFs. I hope you guys go home and just go crazy with the GIFs. Rakaya?
Thank you, William. Are there any questions? No? Okay. Well, thank you for your discussion with us. If you want to learn more about the resources in the Creative Studios, the library has to offer, you can visit with the staff in the Creative Studios or check out the library website and search for Creative Studios. If you have ideas for future Tech Tuesday at 2 topics, you can tweet with us them using the hashtag LibTech2s. Before we end, I also want to mention the Library Creativity Award. All OSU students have a chance to showcase their creativity and win awards in 2D, 3D, motion, wildcard, and best in show categories. You can visit our website or ask any of the event staff if you'd like to learn more. Now we're going to say goodbye to our live stream and draw for prizes. Thank you, OSTATV, for hosting the live stream, and thank you to all who watched.